Herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe der Klemmbausteinlyrik und auch diese Woche gibt es nochmal ein Interview von den Fan Media Days, die Ende Mai stattgefunden haben. Und zwar konnte ich dort mit Christopher Leslie Stam über die Speed Champions reden. Die designt er nämlich. Er war auch für Lego Art schon zuständig und. Aber es ging jetzt um die Speed Champions und ich konnte auch einige von den Fragen positionieren, die im Vorfeld ja hier bei der Klemmbausteinlyrik schon angebracht wurden. Unter anderem auch, da hatte ich gar nicht damit gerechnet, dass eine Antwort käme, aber es kam eine, nämlich zu der Frage, wie sieht es denn mit den BMWs aus? Wo sind sie denn? Ja, schauen wir mal rein. Allerdings alles auf Englisch. Das ist der Natur als solches geschuldet in diesem Fall. Ich bitte das zu entschuldigen. Viel Spaß. Yeah, thank you very much for your time, and that it's possible again to meet when perhaps not everyone knows you anymore from the video I think 2 years ago. Can you introduce yourself, who you are?
Of course. So my name is Christopher Stamp. I am the design lead on Lego Speed Champions. I've worked at Lego for almost 10 years. 10 years this November. As of today's interview. I've worked on many themes. I've worked on many play themes. I started on Galaxy Squad and Ultra Agents. I worked on the Lego Movie E1. I was with Speed Champions when we launched it. I was the only designer on it for a few years. I was heavily involved with the Lego Ninjago movie and Lego Ninjago, so I did many of those products. And then I've worked on City a little bit, and then I launched Lego Art, like I was just mentioning. Did some of those products, and then yeah, that's me, kind of thing.
So nearly everything without Technic, I understand.
Yeah, I work closely with the Technic team due to we have a lot of the same IP partners for our automobiles. Mm-hmm. So I actually work very close with the Icons, the Creator Expert team with their Porsche 911 and those vehicles, and then the Technic team with things like the McLaren Senna they launched this year.
What's your history to become an employee of Lego? What have you done before? Or how was your way to Lego?
Yeah, good question. I haven't had that question in a few years, actually. I had to remember for a second there. So my education is I'm an industrial designer. I'm from the UK, and I've been hired into Lego straight out of university. So in the UK, when you do any kind of design, whether it's product, industrial, graphic, transport, fashion, at the end of your university course, there's a big event called New Designers, and everybody from Scotland, Ireland, Wales, everywhere goes to this big event in London, and that's where on this occasion Lego was looking to see what was there and if anybody had anything cool. And yeah, basically I was talking to just a couple of guys, just casual young guys in hoodies and jeans. Didn't have a clue because I was naive being a student at the time. Like, I wasn't even thinking about jobs. I was just thinking this is the work I've been working on and presenting to anybody who would be interested. And after talking to these two boys for a while, they turned around and they said, "Oh, by the way, we work at Lego. Would you like to come do an interview and maybe build some stuff for us?" And I was like, my first question was, people design Lego? Because I hadn't played with Lego since I was maybe 12 years old. And I'd never thought about it. I was just, it just appears on the shelf. Nobody designs this stuff. And then it's just been a fast whirlwind ever since. So.
Oh, great. So, when we met the last time, you introduced the new white of the cars of the Speed Champions, changing from 6 to 8. And I know it was in May, and I was not allowed to present the interview till January. Yes. So it was a long time. Also yes. For you, perhaps, to wait. What are the reactions? What is your impression of the reactions, and what's your own thinking about now? Was it the right decision?
I think absolutely it was the right decision. I think we've seen that in feedback from both adults and kids. there was a lot of people telling us that, yes, they like the cars we're picking, but they're too much of a caricature. They're too thin. The proportions aren't quite right. They're not capturing all of the details they should. And we just sat back and we just questioned, how can we do it better? How can we give the fans, and especially the hardcore car fans who they dream about these vehicles, how can we do them justice? How can we give them the best representation we can at minifigure scale? And we just basically looked at it and just redefined what Speed Champions is, and we lost all of that excess stuff. So we talked with a lot of kids who, the only reason we were keeping the garages and the story starters and those little things was for kid collectors and for kids to play with. We talked with a lot of kids, and those pieces just ended up in the Lego bin. The reason they were buying the products and the reason they were collecting them was for the cars. We were doing really cool vehicles. So we basically got rid of all the excess, and we said, okay, how can we focus 100% on just the vehicle and do the best possible vehicle we can? We wanted it to be educational for new builders. So there's a lot of building techniques in there that you don't necessarily find in your average city SKU, for example. But we also wanted it to be appreciated by the AFOLs and the more adult, mature Lego collectors. So that's why we've got some kind of unique building techniques in each car. So for me personally, definitely the complete right move. I feel that from what I've seen from online and talking to fans personally, the majority, 95%, feel it was the right decision. We are always going to find people saying that the 6 wide was better for their big Lego city they have at home and all this kind of audience. What that allows is more opportunities in Lego City to create their own 6 wide vehicles, which we've seen them do through their Great Vehicles product line, which is fantastic. So those vehicles are still available in the Lego portfolio. You can still buy those. But if we're talking about doing a Ferrari and a Lamborghini and a Porsche, we want to really do the best Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Porsche that we can. So definitely it was the right decision for us to make.
As you said, and I think that was something I also realized when I built the new ones, the new Speed Champions I got before, that especially every car has something special to build. As you said, I think
Absolutely.
that's what you said also. So do you have enough ideas for every car to say, okay, or other. If you have sports cars, I think when you done so or make them small to 8 dots, perhaps there are some things very similar every sports car has. So do you have really, it's complicated and difficult to have ideas, what can I be made special in this car? Or is it something you say, okay, sometimes it's over, I have no ideas? Or is it till now you had enough ideas for the next years?
I think we've definitely, I've already been thinking 5 years ahead. I'm already thinking about, okay, where do I want Speed Champions to be? What can we do that we've never done before? For example, with this year in the Top Fuel Dragster, that's been on my bucket list for Speed Champions for 2 or 3 years now. But we had to build up to it. We couldn't just jump in there and say, okay, we're going to do 8 wide and we're going to introduce all these new types of vehicles that you've never seen before in Speed Champions. We need to do it in a more gradual process because we are talking to kid collectors primarily. So we don't want to scare them by just changing the thing they fell in love with. We've got lots of new ideas, but it all comes down primarily to the vehicle choice. So every vehicle is uniquely different. We know this, but we don't want to pick vehicles that's too similar to each other. And we want every vehicle to be different. So, for example, if you look at where we started back in 2015, we had 3 supercars, 3 F1 cars, and 2 F1 cars and 3 GT cars. They all quite similar. The vehicles themselves are quite different, but at that scale, they end up being quite similar. I even designed at the time a very generic chassis approach to all the vehicles so that the building system is quite similar for if you're building a Speed Champions car. We want the complete opposite of that now. Yes, the sides of these cars will be side built, and yes, the fronts may be stacking, and there might be some side building, and there might be some upside down building, and using Technic to get a certain connection or an angle that we need. That's all now 100% decided by the vehicle. So we pick vehicles that's very different silhouettes, very different types, and then those shapes determine how we build it. And then it's really the vehicle leading the way with every decision we make.
Coming to the topic decision, who made the decision, or how is the decision made? Which cars will be the next? So as you said, even one aspect is that it's not a similar car. So Formula One cars are very similar to each other. But yeah, is it in your mind, as you said, from the dragster, for example, or is it someone from the company, someone in the house says, oh, we have now a cooperation with this and that, we need a car for this, or how is this decision made? Which cars will be next?
That's a very good question. Actually, I come up with a rough outline, to be honest, of what I would like. But it's 100% a team project, because I work very closely. My right-hand man on the team is Søren Duhoin, who you might know from Lego Masters Denmark. Me and him are just basically sat in the corner talking cars all day, every day. And we've been on Speed Champions together for so many years now that we think exactly the same. And we're always kind of saying, oh, what do you think about this car? And then, oh, no, that won't work, but this one will. And then we're kind of doing that. Oh, what do you think about that vehicle? We could, but maybe next year, because right now we're about to launch this, and those two are too similar. And we're always we're kind of competing with each other a little bit. But it tends to kind of stop there. And then me and him will kind of come up with an assortment outline ourselves that's very different to what we did the previous launch. And we really want to avoid repetition at all costs. That's one of our big priorities, is avoiding repetition, because it's a building experience. Because the more they're similar, the more you're going to just be building the same thing in a different color. And we really want to avoid that. But then that's where it starts. Then we need to talk to the IP partners. So what we'll do is normally myself and I'll talk with a couple of the IPs, and I'll either suggest a vehicle, or I'll say, for example, when we worked with Lamborghini, the only thing I had in my mind was, I really want us to do a Lamborghini. We need to have a Lamborghini in the Speed Champions collection. So we talked with the IP partner, and they mentioned how for them they really were pushing the Urus. They really this was their new thing. It was so different to anything Lamborghini done before, as being an SUV. So straight away we were like, okay, that's cool. It's very different to anything we've got planned. So it's kind of a two-way streak, a two-way partnership with our IP partners as to what do we want and what are we looking for that's going to be different to what we've done previous, and what does the IP partner feel comfortable with, and what do they really want out of our assortment. So it's constant conversations and dialogues and challenging ourselves to how can we do better than we did last year. I hope that answers the question. It's kind of a mixed formula, basically.
Have there been kind of manufacturers saying, no, we do not want that a car of us is a Lego model?
To be honest, up to this stage, no. I think we've got to really appreciate how lucky we are to have the Lego name behind Speed Champions, because as soon as you talk with an IP partner saying, hi, we're from Lego, we would like to work with you on a vehicle. Now I've got a lot of friends in the automotive industry with working with so many different IP partners over the years. Those guys, even though they're designing a car that we'll sit in the street, or you'll see a supercar in movies and things, those designers, I've learned, they're very much like you and me. They're very much a grown kid. And they design a car the way we design a Lego car. And they, oh, it'd be so cool if we could do this and this. So they're big kids themselves, and because of that, they have grew up with Lego, or they're fans of Lego. And as much as we geek out about, oh, I really want to work with, like when we did the Ferrari LaFerrari in 2015, oh, I would love to do that car. Talking with Ferrari, they're like, oh, we would love for you to do this car. So that's kind of been the reception that we receive with most partners we've ever talked to. And I think that's why I feel really lucky to be in the situation I'm in, to be honest with you.
So I asked also my community what I have to ask in the Speed Champions area. And okay, there are some suggestions. I know you do not have to answer any question about future product, but there were some questions about the BMWs having in the portfolio they are missing. So I cannot read something in your face, but I give this information to you that this is missing, especially here in Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can say, like, we did Mini in 2019. That was working with the BMW team because it's all one company. And we've talked to BMW a lot of times. The challenge that I face is the same I face with any IP partner is, if we cannot do the vehicle justice, then I wouldn't want us to do it. So we've talked with BMW, for example, in the past, and we've talked with many partners about doing vehicles. And then if we cannot build it to look good enough, if it doesn't look accurate enough, then I wouldn't want us to do it, because then it's not doing the fans right. Because, for example, if you're a big fan of, I don't know, pick any BMW. If you're a big fan of a BMW i8, which I personally am a fan of, if we can't build that and it looks like a BMW i8, I wouldn't want us to do it, because I wouldn't want us to do a Lego block that's got 4 wheels and then it's got the right stickers, because then it's not doing that vehicle good enough for the level that we hold ourselves to. Because I think internally, me and the team, we're the biggest critics of our own work. We're always pushing ourselves to do more. But we're also not doing justice to the guys who collect these cars and the kids who have these cars as posters on their bedroom walls, and they really dream about these vehicles. And we're not doing justice to BMW or any other partner that we could name. It's the same with partners we've worked with previously. Lamborghini, we've talked about many vehicles with Lamborghini and Ferrari. There's a long list of things we've discussed. But if we can't do them right, then I would rather that we don't do them until the day we can do them right. A perfect example I can share is the Porsche 911 that we did in I want to say it was 18.
I think so. The white one was, I think, 2018.
The white one was 19, but the lime green one we did in the double pack, we started looking at that vehicle in the end of 2015. And we were looking at it, and we could not build it to the standard that we wanted. So we just kept working on it in our garage, and waited and worked on it till the day that we thought, okay, this is at a standard that we feel is good enough, and when you look at it, you can tell what the vehicle is supposed to be, with or without stickers and graphics. So that's kind of the way that we approach all of our cars. And you could pick any IP brand, and it's the same. So
I think also one problem for some people with Speed Champions are the stickers. So there are a lot of stickers. So not everyone likes them. I know that these are cheaper sets. It's not possible to print them all, and so on and so on. I know that you told me when you changed from 6 to 8, that also one idea was to build more things than have stickers. I think it's a lot of stickers anymore still, isn't it? Or is this also when you're designing a car in your mind to have, okay, what I think especially the lights is something perhaps you can reduce what the stickers are and put other bricks inside. Is this also in your mind to reduce stickers?
110%, absolutely. Actually, I've got an overview of how many decorations and how many stickers we've had on every single Speed Champions car. And what I can confirm is that is a kind of a little mission for myself that I look at as well when I'm putting the assortment together is how to reduce this. And what I can say is if you look at 2019, for example, we made a huge leap forward in the number of decorations and stickers we did compared to 18. If you look at 20 and 21 and then the 22, and as we move forward in the future, every year we've increased the number of decorations we've had and we've reduced the stickers. We will never be able to get rid of all stickers. And some vehicles, so in 2020, the Nissan, for example, being a drifting racing car with its own livery, that automatically needs a lot of stickers. You'll see the same with things like our GT car that year, the Lamborghini Huracan, or in 2021, the Dragster. Now the Dragster's got a lot of graphics, but actually, if you build it and you look at it, it's actually got not that many stickers because the stickers are so big. Mm-hmm. So it has several stickers, but they're actually quite large. Same with the Corvette C8R. Being a GT race car, it's automatically going to have a lot of stickers. But if we flip that and we compare it to something like the Elva this year, the McLaren Elva, you'll see that we've started decorating the seats. We've decorated the dashboard in there. We've removed all 1x1 stickers. So anything that's on a 1x1 tile or a 1x1 slope, like a cheese slope, for example, we're trying to reduce all of that. So anywhere we can, all cockpits are now decorated. Moving forward, our aim is that all headlights or taillights are either decorated or brick built. That is definitely our goal, is to reduce those. We'll never be able to remove all stickers. It's just simply, it's just impossible for us to achieve that. And I don't think we would want to as well, because if you decorate everything, it limits the amount of reusability and rebuildability of those elements, because they become quite specific if every element's got a Ford logo printed on it or a Dodge logo printed on it, it's going to become a very limited element to reuse. But we definitely reducing stickers and increasing decorations.
So I think we have come to an end, but I have two questions. Perhaps three. Perhaps we can ask in a short way. One question of my community was who makes the decision, or with what are the criteria for the decision? Have a single car or double car in a package? And then one question was the steering wheel more to the center and the problem of the steering wheel in the center. And the third question was if you have ever tried to make functioning doors where the doors are possible to open. Perhaps you have short answers for these three questions.
Absolutely. Single and double packs, it really comes down to the car choices. It really comes down to the car choices. If we feel that a car is strong enough by itself, if we've got a single pack, it's not always so easy to turn a single pack into a double pack, because you might have one car that's really great and you're like, I don't have anything to team with it. And we don't want to do a car just to do a car. So every single car that we put in there is got equal importance, even in the double packs. That, for example, with the Dragster this year with Dodge, the main focus of that SKU for me was the Dragster, where a lot of the adult fans you'll see online will say that they love the Challenger and the Dragster is more of a B model. No, both cars are equally important, but the main focus for us that year was how do we achieve a Dragster? So every car is important, but if you do a Dragster, you need to do it in a doubles pack because it needs to be drag racing something. Also, we need a muscle car because we haven't done a muscle car in the 8 wide scale. So this was our first muscle car in that scale. And every car is specifically decided, and whether they're a single pack or an individual pack, it's all carefully thought out. We spend years thinking about this, me and the design team. What was the second question? Sorry.
I think we have only a minute. The doors, opening doors,
yes,
that will be possible, and the steering wheel in the center.
That was it. The steering wheel. I could remember the doors, but not the second question. So the steering wheel, we always want it to be in front of the minifigure wherever possible. we are just limited by the elements that we have. So what you may notice is with most of the builds where the steering wheel is not in front of the minifigure, it is due to either it's an older vehicle, so it's limited by the cockpit choice that we have, because a lot of the older cockpits we use are from the 90s and the 80s, and they're designed with a lot of stud connection underneath, so it becomes quite a limited there's quite a lot of limited possibilities of how you build in the steering wheel and the windshield. Or if it's the newer vehicles, you'll see that maybe that space has been taken up by finding strange ways to connect the side building into the rest of the car. So it really comes down to the vehicle choice and the element choice as to how we can achieve that. The working doors we've looked at, we've discussed it. Another thing that we have looked at as well is how to get turning wheels within the wheel arch. These are all things we think about. Working doors, can the hood open? Can the doors open? It becomes very limited at this scale without adding in, without affecting the stability of the model, especially with the doors, and without adding 318 connectors, bar connectors, and clips, and it becomes a very disruptive on the aesthetic. So all of a sudden, the clean lines of the side of your car are all cut up and intersected with the hinges for the door. So it has quite a large impact on the actual vehicle design. So up to now, we've avoided doing it just because we prioritize getting the aesthetic of the vehicle more than having an opening or closing door, because the minifigure is never going to be able to slide in or out anyway. So we say that that's something that's more of a nice to have than a need to have. And right now it just has it has too much of a bigger domino effect on the rest of the model. So okay, we'd rather sacrifice that to give you a more accurate representation.
Thank you very much. The time is over, I think. So the next one is waiting, perhaps. So it was very, very nice again. Very nice to meet, and a lot of information. So, yeah, I hope we will meet again in Billund in the next years, sometimes in person again. But as I said, thank you very much.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time today.
So I have to leave, I think, for the next one. Okay.
No
Bye.
problem.
Have a nice day. Bye.
You too. Bye now.